Welcome, Internet, to the Pixel Play Podcast, your weekly podcast when we get together to discuss the news, rumors, and all the discussions going on in the gaming world. I am one of your hosts, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, joined as always by my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. In this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the PlayStation Showcase scheduled for Thursday, September 9th. We're going to be talking about the fiasco that is the Horizon Forbidden Dawn upgrade or Forbidden West upgrade options that have been announced, and we're going to be talking about Alan with the PS5. I'm also going to be coming to you live with a Ghost of Ikishima Untimely review. If you want to hear that, but you want to hear our old episodes as well, you can always find us wherever you get your podcasts by searching for the Pixel Play Podcast, either wherever you get your podcasts or on youtube.com if you want to see our lovely faces. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can email us questions, comments, concerns at the pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. We're happy to talk about those on the air and, give our feedback. If you want a more instantaneous connection with us, you can always reach us on our socials by searching for Pixel Playcast. Housekeeping agenda for you, one thing. Next week, we are going to be joined by the team at Between Two Gamers to talk a little bit about the console wars, and we're going to be talking about the PlayStation Showcase. So they're going to be joining us next week, so expect to hear some new voices. With that said, Adam, how are you doing?
I'm very creeped out by this very angry-looking Kaylan that's in the screen right now.
That is not angry. That is, very thoughtful and provocative and got a lot going on in his mind.
I thought it was more just like, I hate my internet, Kaylan.
That is, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not on camera this week. We are having some internet connectivities. This is actually like the fourth or fifth take, and I'm sorry because it is not the best one that we've done. But we're just trying to get this done. We are committed to coming to you guys with an episode each week, come hell or high water.
I mean, we're in a tornado warning. I mean, we're trying, okay?
We're doing the best we can. Like, it is, crazy weather outside, tornado warnings, flooding, all that stuff. And our first thought is, what about the listeners? So, guys, we're coming to you guys with a podcast, come hell or high water. So, yeah. Adam, let's just jump into it before the internet craps out even more. PlayStation Showcase. So, as we hinted at, PlayStation is going to be having a massive showcase Thursday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which I believe is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Sid Schumann at the blog said that this is going to look into the future of PS5. The showcase will weigh in at about 40 minutes and include updates from PlayStation Studios and some of the industry's most imaginative developers for games releasing this holiday and beyond. One thing to note, PlayStation VR won't make an appearance this time, but there's plenty of great PS5 games from developers large and small. Adam, how big do you think this is going to be on a scale of a E3 showing to just sort of a state of play? Where do you think this is going to fall?
Probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think this is going to be a massive show. The more and more I think about it, the more that I'm like, okay, we know God of War is going to be there. Mm-hmm. Pretty good shot. Like, we might see like a Last of Us factions. There's a lot of rumors like Infamous might be there. Some people are thinking like Spider-Man might be showing up. There's a lot of things that could be there, but nothing really set in stone. I think there's a surprise or two that we aren't expecting, but I'm not going to sit here and think it's going to be like, some over-the-top E3 level conference where we're like sitting here being like, I can't believe that thing is coming out. Like, holy hell. There's stuff I'd like to see. Like, I'd like to see some Hogwarts Legacy gameplay. I'd like to see some Final Fantasy 16 gameplay. Like, there's a few things I'd love to see if they exist. But at this point, I'm going in with it just being like, just be better than a state of play and I'll be happy at this point. Like, I just want something to look forward to that isn't, some indie game that, in all honesty, I'm not going to play unless it's free on PlayStation Plus,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm of the opposite. I think this is going to be a blowout 1-2 punch kind of thing for Sony. Once again, I know I am a fanboy through and through, and so I'm naturally going to think that. But the fact that we haven't had anything super big or exciting kind of be announced from PlayStation for a while, it's kind of like, it's a bit of a, and so I think if they come out now that all of E3's, Gamescom, all those things are out of the way, this is, I think, what Sony's been waiting for. Is they've been waiting for the dust to settle, and now their turn to come and steal the spotlight. So I do think it's going to be, I mean, not consistently, but I think it's going to be massive game after massive game after massive game announcement. Do I think all the rumors and all the suggestions that people think are going to be coming are going to come through? No, but I do think that we're going to get a huge roadmap of what the next, not just 6 or 8 months, but what the next 18 months are probably going to look like at PlayStation.
Yeah, like there's always a chance of maybe, Uncharted comes out with its next big thing because that's been a rumor for a while now. Like there's a lot of potential. It's just a matter of how much of it's going to be there or how much of it just doesn't have anything to show off yet, so it's something down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how do you want to go through this? I figured we could kind of give our predictions of what we expect. Do you just want to randomly share some expectations and some guesses and predictions? Do we want to just address some of the rumors, or do we want to kind of go through what I was thinking we could do is I could list the studios. You tell me if you think they're going to be there, and if so, what are they showing?
Let me pull up my Sony Studio list then.
I've got it here for you.
Well, I'm going to need to remember I don't remember what all of them do. Come on now. I'm not that much of a Sony boy.
Well, neither do I. Just have it set up. So the first one's off the top of, like, I guess we can go that route. I think one of the surefire, like, let's get the fact out of the way. Horizon Forbidden West, it'll be there. It's going to be shown. That's fine. So let's get Gorilla out of the way. Like, Gorilla's already done. Housemarque, maybe we'll see some DLC for Returnal, but I doubt it. How do you want to do this? Do you want to do studios, or do you want to do just some speculation?
I mean, let's just do some speculation because, I mean, realistically, we know what we think we're going to get into.
Mm-hmm. So let's start with the first one. Do you think Infamous is going to be at this conference?
I think it will be. It's just a matter of whether it's a new one or if it's just taking the collection and bringing it back, like just giving it a fresh coat of paint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what it would be. It would make more sense that they'd be giving a remaster collection, but you never know. There might be an actual new game coming as well.
Yeah, it could be. I think that's a very good point, because at the moment, there is no way to play the first 2 original Infamous games except on the PS3. Like, they're not available through PS4 collections or anything. And so the only Infamous game they have on the PS4 and the ipso facto the PS5 is the original one. Or sorry, is the Second Son. So I think more than likely a remake is possible. Or not a remaster. Like a remaster, yeah, sorry, not a remake. But do I think we'll see a new Infamous game? I don't know. I don't think so. Because, like, Sucker Punch has been pretty busy with Ghost of Tsushima. That I don't imagine. Or, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, they could always pull up a cinematic trailer at that point, but you never know.
Yeah, but are they going to... Do you think they're going to go back to that? Or do you think this... Like, I don't know who else would make it. Like, the only thing I can see is if they got something like Ben Studio making an Infamous game.
I can't imagine that, though, either, no.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'd love to see another Infamous game. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I definitely think a remaster is going to happen. I think we're going to definitely see a Gran Turismo. I think that's been kind of talked about for a while. Gran Turismo's easy.
And you don't even need to show gameplay, really. Like, everybody knows what it's going to be, so...
Mm-hmm.
You can literally just show fancy footage of fancy cars, and people are like, yep, that looks like Gran Turismo.
Yep. In terms of Santa Monica, is this where we get the cinematic story trailer for God of War 2? God of War Ragnarok?
No, I think we'd actually get some gameplay this time.
Oh, you think we're going to get some gameplay?
I mean, we've already had a trailer once, so...
We didn't get a trailer?
I thought we had a trailer at some point.
No, it was... I thought
like,
just like...
way back, there was just like a quick like cinematic trailer saying that it existed.
Well, I think there was like a teaser where it was just the Omega God of War symbol and it turned blue, and I think it said Ragnarok, but I think that's the extent of the trailer.
I'm thinking it's also a big show, and that's kind of the expectation, so I could almost see them popping up with like at least like just some sort of fighting in there.
Mm-hmm. Naughty Dog. What do you think we get from Naughty Dog?
I want there to be an Uncharted 5 announcement, but I feel like if anything, we're probably just going to hear about Last of Us 2 Factions. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Factions, and I think Factions is going to be bigger than a lot of people think it's going to be. I think Factions is going to become almost a standalone game in and of itself.
I kind of would be curious about that too, because I like the idea of what that setting is. I just can't get behind the single player games. So maybe a multiplayer thing would be something that would help me get into it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to see Naughty Dog with Factions and maybe a teaser for sort of a standalone or not a standalone DLC, but a DLC like we did with what was the one with Ellie? but it wasn't American Waste. What was the one?
You ain't gonna get that out of me. I'm not the Last of Us guy.
Oh, that's right. You don't have tasting games. That's right. Anyways, we're gonna have probably like a small story DLC for Last of Us Part 2. Do you think we see anything from Media Molecule?
I hope not, honestly. I think that ship sailed, to be honest.
Do you think there's a chance we're going to see Dreams come out to them?
I don't know, unless they're just desperately trying to get us to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've heard Spider-Man remakes. Do we think that Spider-Man's going to be at this show?
I'd say it's like a 5% chance. That's like a surprise at the end. I think, if anything, I would not imagine it's going to be ready yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the same mind. I think it's too early for that one. They just finished, Ratchet and Clank. They're probably just kind of starting to ramp up full speed in terms of working on Spider-Man. Housemarque, I think we'll probably get some DLC for Returnal. That's pretty much been their big game of the year. Now, I'm going to throw in a crazy one. Astro's Playroom. Do you think that one is going to get a new game? Because that game was really small, but became very popular. Do you think we're going to see another Astro's Playroom kind of thing?
I say yes, but not here. I don't think we're there yet.
No?
I think it's something that they've probably kicked around the idea of. I don't know if they're going to do it yet.
See, I think that's like a perfect game for because Sony has such a legacy in terms of its franchises and stuff, and it had those little Easter eggs throughout, and I thought that would be a good way to kind of pay homage to that again. Is have play up on those things, have Astro kind of explore different variations of those games. I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah, as a lot of people said when it came out, it ended up being a really good if Mario was on a PlayStation game. So it'd be a great idea for them to go further with it and make an actual game out of it that isn't just a free demo essentially on every console. But like I said, I love the idea, and I do think it's something they probably will do because I think there's enough outpouring of positivity from that game. I just don't know if this is it yet. I don't think they're gonna have it show. If they're gonna do it, I think this is something we're a couple of years out on still.
Yeah. Last one I'm thinking that we're probably going to see is we're probably going to see that Metal Gear Solid Remaster remake. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. That'd be pretty cool to see.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it feels like an impossibility because your brain just goes, Kojima's a mile away from Konami, to the point that take the classic scene where two people are looking at each other from across the ocean. That's essentially Kojima and Konami right now. So just the thought of a Metal Gear game in any capacity, whether it's a remake or a new one, just seems so outlandish to me. So I want it to be there, and my brain just goes, no, there's no way. But every time there's some evidence, it's well, maybe, and then my brain goes, no, it's Metal Gear. Stop living that dream.
Have anything to, so I mean, no offense, but Kojima would have nothing to do with a Metal Gear remake because the script and the game are done. They don't really need him or his blessing. It's really
I know. It feels so out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really hoping that's a thing. Like I said, I've never played nor really gotten the hype for Metal Gear. So I think if a remake / remaster comes out, I think that's going to be my good effort to get into this, because I know a lot of people really like that one, and I think the fact that I missed that was part of the reason why. What about Bend? What do you think Bend has been up to? Because the last thing they did was Days Gone, which was I think 2016.
I mean, they should be doing something. So I mean, it probably is some sort of new IP. I mean, look, I know there's some people that like it, but there should never be a Days Gone 2 unless they found a way to completely overhaul that game to the point that it's undeniable, but I don't see it. So I feel like they'll be doing something different.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I played Days Gone. I actually like Days Gone. Days Gone is not as bad of a game as it got, but it is the weaker. It is one of the weaker of the PlayStation exclusives, and I don't know if there's a huge rush or clamoring for Days Gone 2 from the larger gaming community. I know there's the diehards, and that game is great, but it did have its problems. So could it get a sequel? Yeah, I could see it getting one, and I think it would definitely benefit from having a second chance. But I don't think Sony's in a rush to make that game.
And I don't really know if the core audience of PlayStation is all that interested in playing another biker game. Because look, if there's any complaint I'll give about that game, I just don't like the aesthetic. I don't think the biker aesthetic is really going to lend it very well to anything. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's I think they're going to probably be going back to like Siphon Filter or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Any other predictions that you think we're going to see at this show?
I mean, outside of like Sony properties, I couldn't tell you. That's where I get into the things like, again, like, you know, a Final Fantasy 16 or a Hogwarts Legacy or something like that. You know, then you just go way out there and be like, okay, Square, where's the Chrono game? Like, then we just get into that realm. You never know. Maybe a Persona 6 is something that, you know, gets at least like teased a little bit because that's been a big system seller for Sony. So who knows? But without like really diving too deep into like supposed rumors that have no credence whatsoever, it's just I have no idea. I think that's why I'm like at least interested in this one, because there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of open time where there could be a lot of games that we just don't expect. So it could definitely be a really cool show, just for the fact that we don't really know what's going to be there.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I really hope that this is big and something exciting. Do you think Deathloop is going to show up again?
That would be funny. I hope not.
I literally hope, just for like thematically, it's just Deathloop and it's the same trailer again.
I mean, it would make sense. That's kind of the game's shtick, you know?
Yeah. All right. Any sort of let's move on. So everyone's super excited for the show. Let's talk about something Sony did that people aren't happy about. So for Horizon Forbidden West got a new, basically they released all the information about all the different editions that are coming out, and some people weren't super happy about what occurred. So for those of you who don't know, that Horizon Forbidden West is going to be coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And originally people had kind of thought that there was going to be an option for a free upgrade, and that turned out not to be the case. To get the free update, you had to get the minimum deluxe digital edition in order to kind of have that transfer, or else but that came at an additional cost of like an additional $20 or $30 on top of the normal game price. So this article comes from Paul Tassi at Forbes, arguing that Sony actually lied to its fans. So he writes, Sony baffled fans and critics alike when it announced the pricing for the PS4 and PS5 versions of the Horizon Forbidden West. While the $60 PS4 and $70 PS5 price points are Sony's standard at this point, the confusing part was where there was absolutely no way to upgrade your $60 PS4 version to a PS5 version later. Instead, players are told to buy an $80 deluxe version, which allows dual entitlement for both PS4 and PS5 versions of the game. Fans haven't exactly loved Sony's paid upgrade path for other games in the past, but the complete lack of an upgrade path for Horizon Forbidden West is new. But it's not just illogical, it's actually completely contrary to what Sony explicitly said about the game. A year ago, last September, Sony published a blog post that remains online to this day. It says the following. Additionally, we know that the PS4 community will transition to the PS5 at different times, and we're happy to announce PS4 versions of some of our exclusives. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and Horizon Forbidden West will also launch on PS4. While these three games were designed to take advantage of the PS5 and its unique next-gen features like the ultra-high-speed SSD and DualSense controller, PS4 owners will also be able to enjoy these experiences when they launch. The PS4 digital versions of launch games include a free upgrade on both PS5 consoles, while the PS4 disc version of these games include a free upgrade to PS5 with Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive. And then later on, so everyone on the internet got super mad about this and kind of called Sony out for misleading or lying to their buyers and players. And so Bo DeVries, the community lead at Guerrilla, updated. Thursday was to be a celebration of Horizon Forbidden West and the amazing team at Guerrilla working to deliver it on February 18th, 2022. However, it's abundantly clear that the offerings we confirmed in our pre-order kickoff missed the mark. Last year, we made the commitment to deliver free upgrades for our cross-gen launch titles, which included Horizon Forbidden West, while the pandemic's profound impact pushed Forbidden West out of the launch window we initially envisioned. We still stand by our offer. Players who purchase Horizon Forbidden West on PlayStation 4 will be able to upgrade to the PS5 version for free. I also want to confirm that moving forward, PlayStation first-party exclusives cross-gen titles newly releasing on PS4 and PS5, both digitally and physical, will offer a $10 USD digital upgrade option from PS4 to PS5. This will apply to the next God of War and Gran Turismo 7 and any other exclusives cross-gen PS4, PS5 titles published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. That was by Jim Ryan, President and CEO, Sony Interactive Entertainment. So Adam, big question. Did Sony lie to their players?
I don't really care, because in the end, the decision was wrong. Whether they lied or not, it's just really stupid to not offer a free upgrade when your competition does that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no other way of going about it. It really is just a matter of Microsoft does it. Why aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the mind, like, I think they definitely did, did they lie? I don't know. Maybe they kind of thought that this was going to just be for some launch window stuff. I think their problems actually started earlier. I think the idea of making things cross-gen, like making Miles Morales, making Forbidden West, making God of War, exclusive, was a mistake. I mean, the problem is that you've increased your prices on PS5, but you haven't increased them on the PS4. So did it take less time or money to make it on the PS4 than it did on the PS5? No, it's the same amount of labor, but now you're charging at a cheaper rate. And so what Sony probably did is they saw it and said, holy crap, there is no incentive or very little incentive for people to just buy a PS4 version. If it's going to have a free update, they're just going to buy the PS4 one and then play it on the PS5. So Sony was like, we don't want to lose it on that money. So we're going to make it, we're going to charge more for Horizon Forbidden West, which really is the big first, like, I'd say that's the first big console exclusive that they've had since Miles Morales. And Miles Morales wasn't even a full blown, title. So I think they just kind of saw that and said, we can't do that. And that's why I think the issue was from the beginning, just making that, cross compatible and making it a PS4. If you had said, hey, this is a next gen game, it's taking advantage of the next gen hardware, costs more to make, we're going to do it for $70. Sony said at the very beginning, we believe in console generations and iterating. They don't see it as a one streamlined platform. Could they do it? Clearly they can. But I think now they've just jumbled the message so much that they should have when they said initially, no, these are PS5 games. You will get them on PS5 when the game comes out. And now I think they're in this weird situation where Xbox is doing, the free upgrades so much better and so much easier that Sony really has no good way of doing it while keeping their $10 price increase for the PS5 games and then also offering an upgrade. So I think if they have just stick with their message and said, hey, no, this is it, we're going to be keeping this as an upgrade. There's no upgrades. Get the PS5 version when you get your PS5. I think that would have solved their problems. But as it currently stands, yeah, they are definitely, I don't think lying. I think they're just disorganized and just reacting, and they don't have a clear message. And this is what we saw from Xbox when they came up with the Xbox Series X.
Yeah. It's just the reality again. Like, the pandemic screwed so much up that just people are just bouncing all over the place trying to figure out how to recoup some of the money that they've lost. So some decisions are being made that are helpful, some are not, and they're gonna have to deal with the consequences of the bad ones. Because as the internet goes, you don't care much about the positives; you only remember the negatives. So
yeah. But I think this is all not just coming from a spot where it's just them reacting to the pandemic. I think this is legitimately them just not having a clear message and a clear vision like Xbox did last generation, where they had an idea, it didn't work, and then they just were constantly trying to regain their footing, and they never really did. And I just worry that that's what Sony has done.
Well,
they had a message, it fell flat, and now they're kind of fumbling.
Well, you were talking about the whole, like, switching Horizon and Spider-Man, for example, to not just being PS5 exclusive, but to mixing the two generations. Well, again, that's just because there aren't enough PS5s to put it out on the market. I do think that without the pandemic, we have the proper amount of PS5s out there, and we're not having this problem. This isn't even an issue we're talking about. So I don't believe that this would have been nearly the same kind of mess had there not been the pandemic. It doesn't change the fact that they made a really bad mistake. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea that they made it available for both platforms. It made sense because most people weren't going to be able to get their hands on the new one. It made sense to business wise, get at least your money's worth, because you're going to have
Mhm.
a lot more copies being sold now because there aren't nearly as many PS5s on the market. But on the flip side, you're also now reducing the quality, and now you're having to figure out, why. Or you got to figure out ways to get people to buy the PS5 version. When in reality, most people are just going to be like, well, I'll get the PS4 version because it'll pretty much run the way it's supposed to on PS5, just without the 4K, I guess.
Mhm.
So it's not the worst thing in the world, really. Like, this decision is more just, and it's showing that just Sony just kind of really hasn't handled this situation very well, and it just, you hope that, in the next little while, now that they've finally had the big issue that made them realize, oh shit, we got to rethink things a little bit. Maybe now things start to get a little bit more organized again, and that might help. But as for, it stands right now, this is just that key moment that everybody's looking at it being like, man, Sony could be running away with this fight, and they keep making mistakes.
Yeah. And this goes back to what I was talking about last week. The one thing Sony needs most is a healthy Xbox to kind of keep them on track. I think the like going to this issue is, I think if they're going to commit to this backwards compatibility, just own it. Like, I think get rid of the 10, like I think how they have it right now with a $10 upgrade consistent across the board, this is a temporary problem. I mean, at some point they're going to stop making these PS4 games, but then it raises the question of like, well, why, when does that come? When is that ending? Like, at what point do they sort of say, hey, we're sunsetting the PS4, we're now exclusively PS5? Because it's different in each region. And so it's a temporary problem. I don't have a huge issue with them making it backwards compatible. I think it does create more problems, but at that point, just say, hey, here, these are the games up until this date, we're going to support backwards compatibility. Afterwards is not. But like, yeah, right now there's no incentive other than if you want a PS5 logoed video game case in your disc to say PS5, there's really no incentive to buy a PS4 version for Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like you said, it's a problem that's not going to last too much longer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we think the shortages is going to still be going along for a while, but at some point you've got to put that foot down and be like, okay, we're just going to have to deal with the fact that there's a shortage, and we'll figure out a way afterwards. But until then, this is the situation we're in. We're just going to have to kind of wait our way through these waters,
So do you think that PlayStation should continue to offer this backwards compatibility until the shortages are over, or what do you think is for you the watercress moment where you say, okay, we're now going to discontinue that? Because that's going to be a hard conversation they're going to have too. Unless they choose unless they choose a moment where everyone has a PS5, which could be years. When do they make that call? Because it's going to be a bad call no matter when they make it.
Well, I think at this point the cap would be 2023. I think you just have to look at how 2022 goes and just realize, okay, is this game worth holding back or retooling just a little bit for PS4, or should we just go for it? I think like the next year is going to be really what decides it. I think if they should not be making that decision, or sorry, they shouldn't be holding back this decision for another full year after that. 2023, we will know 100% for sure. And then I guess we'll still be kind of feeling this out as we go into at least to the summer of next year for sure, I would think.
But then that raises the question that clearly these games can be ported back and forth. So then at any time they'll say, well, why are you not supporting the backwards compatibility? Like, Sony have put themselves in a very crappy situation.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it's a situation that I don't know what I would do in that scenario. I don't think anybody knows. Like, if you actually take a second to sit back and think about it, like, you can't plan for this, what's happened. So you don't plan for, I'm sure they figured there would be at least 20, 30 million PS5s already out on the market by this point. So, like, at some point, like, I feel a little bit of sympathy for them, but I mean, I also own my PS5 now, so I could care less.
Yeah.
But,
well, this is what they're saying, is that they're saying that the PS5 has technically outsold the PS4 for time on the market, which is another crazy thing.
I guess the argument that you can make too is that there's more gamers too, so now there's a much bigger market they're trying to get consoles to, so who knows. I mean, realistically, like, they should just stop it now. Like, if it were up to me, I'd say, guys, just shut it down. Just stop thinking about it. Just get it over with. Get the bad PR out of the way and just be done with it. But I think they'll kind of chill a little bit longer with it to try to feel everything out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see when they actually decide to pull the plug on that. Let's move on to perhaps a little bit of good news for the PS5. So Alan Wake is getting a remaster, and it's going to be coming to the PS5. So this is coming from Rachel at the Alan Wake Remastered project. So she says, I'm beyond happy to tell you that at the time of writing this, Alan Wake Remaster is nearing its completion. Confirmed, announced, coming up in partnership with Epic Games Publishing. Multi-platform, PC on the Epic Game Store, Xbox, and for the first time ever, PlayStation, this generation and the previous one. The original game was only available for Xbox 360 and a few years later PC. We are thrilled about the opportunity to bring the remastered version out for a new generation of platforms. I'm excited to hear about what you think about Alan Wake. Alan Wake Remastered is the original experience you fell in love with all those years ago. We did not want to change that, but the visuals all around, including the character model of Alan Wake himself and the cinematics, have been updated and improved with some choice next-generation upgrades. Alan Wake Remastered will launch this fall. Stay tuned for more information. First off, did you ever play Alan Wake?
No, it kind of falls into that horror genre where I wasn't really interested, so I never really got around to it. I guess I've kind of at least played somewhere in the universe because I play Control now, so... Mm-hmm. But no, I never played the original.
Yeah, same with me. Does this make you... Are you kind of inclined to play it now, or...?
No, I still look at those games as being like... No, maybe if I was still streaming, maybe I would have thought about it, but because I'm not now I'm like, why would I play a horror game alone? It's no fun. It's no fun if there's other people to watch me get terrified at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I think I'll give it a shot, but this is not one that I'm craving to kind of like get right to. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean it's cool and all. Like again, like we're mostly talking about it because it's something that, you know, normally you wouldn't get on PlayStation. Now you're finally getting to. So it's a cool thing, and I'm always happy to see more gamers get it. I think this is just something that like both of us are not like really interested in, but maybe if the price is right or if it's free at some point down the road, maybe we take a look at it, but not at full price, you know?
Yeah, I know the people who like Alan Wake love Alan Wake. I've never really heard anyone say that it wasn't a good game. But I think it's like Control. It's very niche, and I liked Control. Like the gameplay that they had was really awesome. So to kind of see what they did beforehand is interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Just as a larger question, like, if you had to like kind of pick an exclusive to bring to, basically to give to one console and to take from one console, which one? I guess it kind of works at the same. Which exclusives would you wish were multi-platform? Which games do you think everyone should play?
I would want to immediately throw the Uncharted games onto everything. That'd probably be my immediate bet. Just because it's the most for everybody. I mean, if it was my personal choice, I'd give everybody Persona 5 like right now, because at least now that Persona 4 Golden's out there for PC, it's cool for everybody. But like, get that shit everywhere. I want that shit on Switch. I want everybody to see how awesome that game is, because it's literally one of the best JRPGs in the market. And then if I had something coming back, I want some goddamn Fire Emblem on my PC. That's honestly what I want. I kept thinking PlayStation. I'm like, no, this is a mouse and keyboard game. Give me that shit on PC. I'm actually playing a game called Dark Deity right now, which is pretty close to that. And all it does is make me think, I wish I could play Three Houses on my friggin' PC right now. This is stupid. God damn it, Nintendo.
See, I think for me, if I had to choose, I think the one game that I'd want to port to every console, I think it'd be the Halo franchise. And my logic being is that Halo is in a unique sweet spot, and we've talked about this before, is that it is a game that people respect the campaign as much as they respect the multiplayer. So whether you are a single player story player, like if you're a single player gamer, there's something there for you, and that there's a rich lore and an awesome story in the Halo games. If you are a multiplayer, Twitch gamer, there's something there for you as well. And so I think it's one of those that I don't think there's anyone who, if they had the opportunity to play Halo on their console of choice, would say no. And so I think that's kind of the one for me that I would like to see port around. Plus, Halo's been so revolutionary to the gaming industry. It's up there with like Mario and like Tetris and Pac-Man, like those games that have just had a significant impact on the population. And I think that it's good for others to kind of see what that's all about.
And it's funny because like you mentioned Mario and like Zelda and stuff. I would love to see those on PlayStation, but when you really think about it, like if all of a sudden tomorrow you snap your fingers and Mario Odyssey is on PS5, I'd be weirded out. I'm not going to lie. I would be severely weirded out.
Would you?
Yes. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm not even being facetious with this. Like, it really is one of those things that it would just feel off playing a Mario game on a console that isn't Nintendo. Which
Yeah.
goes to show you how good the job Nintendo has done to attach its brand and its name to everything.
Yeah.
But at the
Well,
same time, Fire Emblem doesn't feel nearly as Nintendo. That's why I go with that.
yeah. All right. Last thing on the docket. I've got an untimely review for Ghost of Ikishima. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we are too poor and not influential enough to get our games ahead of time, or to review them in a timely manner. So we bring you games reviewed as we can, when we can, on our own time and on our own dime, making them untimely reviews.
Well, yeah, shit, we
So
can't even afford good internet on the show half the time, you know?
tell ya, yeah, this is why I'm having to like just have a picture of me on there. I don't think anyone can notice the difference, but yeah.
No.
So,
You're just really
ladies and gentlemen,
good
I've
at
just finished
staring and
Ghost
like
of
mimicking. Like you're
Ikishima.
like
This is the
a.
deal.
Oh, sorry. Were you? Oh, sorry. I kind of interrupted you there.
No, it's totally fine there. Yeah, doing like the little ventriloquism thing.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
talking
You're like
without,
I was about to call
moving
you a
my
modern
mouth.
day Jeff Dunham. I'm like, wait, Jeff Dunham's kind of an asshole. Never mind. I take everything back.
Fantastic. Yeah, you kind of jinxed it as soon as you said, your internet's bad. Mine just cut right out. So
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have said
we'll see
anything.
how this goes. You jinxed it.
I'm sorry.
All right, Adam, let's move on to the review for Ghost of Tsushima. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Adam and I are not influential enough or rich enough to get you guys reviews ahead of time. So, we review games as we can, when we can, on our own dime and on our own time. That makes them untimely reviews. This edition of Untimely Reviews, I've got a review for Ghost of Ikishima. This is the DLC for the Ghost of Tsushima game that released back in 2019. I am playing the director's cut. And yeah, the way I'm going to approach this is I'm not going to give too much in terms of spoilers, either for Ghost of Tsushima or for Ghost of Ikishima. Just for clarification on where I'm coming from, I really liked Ghost of Tsushima. It was probably my game of the year when it came out. So let's kind of go with that mindset as we go into the reviews. So I was very excited for Ghost of Ikishima. I've been looking forward to it, and I bought it pretty much as soon as I could. And how I'm going to say this, and this is going to be both a good and bad, Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Ikishima is just more Ghost of Tsushima, for the good and the bad. What that means. So for the good, this game is gorgeous. This is probably the best looking game I have seen on the PS5. Just like the original game, it has a very unique art style that blends sort of realistic and sort of watercolor kind of style painting, and it works so well in this system. I had a blast just sitting there watching the screen. I don't think I ever fast traveled in this game just because I want to watch the scenery go by. The second positive I mean by it's more of Ghost of Tsushima is the gameplay. This is the exact same gameplay that you saw in the original game. You're doing ghost activities, doing samurai activities. The sword fighting is awesome. It's a lot of the same puzzles, a lot of the same shrines, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to just have more of that. That being said, I feel like there are some decisions that were made in the development of this game that had negative impacts to this DLC. So if I recall, I beat the game and I platinumed it when it came out. So I'm playing this as someone who has completed the game. I believe in the director's cut, this opens up somewhere in around Act 2, either the beginning or the ending. And I feel like that was a poor choice. Seeing as this DLC came out a year after this game was released, a lot of players are coming into this having already beaten and probably platinuming Ghost of Tsushima. And so the choices that they make sort of impact this, and that because it's available halfway through the game, you're sort of splitting between two different player bases. And I think the problem with that is that there's not a lot of additions to the skill tree that justify, that make it exciting for new player or for existing players coming in. So there's one new branch of attack, and that's regarding your horse. And I felt having come in, I could pretty much almost max out the skill tree again just by the skill points and technical points that I acquired through my playthrough of the original game. Because your data does transfer over. And so by having it halfway through the game, they can't really add a whole bunch of skills because then it would break the original game. But at the same time, there's not enough new for players who've been playing it for a while. And so I just kind of got through that there wasn't really much that changes or makes it new or fresh. It kind of is just more of Ghost of Tsushima. And for its part, it doesn't linger too long that it feels boring, but I just kind of wish there was more new stuff in there. I was kind of hoping for something bigger and a little bit more exciting. And there's really not. It's just more Ghost of Tsushima in that sense. The other part that I think is a detriment to this is this story. The story's not grossly captivating, and I felt it doesn't really quite fit well. Just because of the narrative, they're talking about the threat to Tsushima and stuff, and it doesn't quite jive if you've already beaten the game and that how that works. So the story's not super compelling. There is a sort of witch doctor kind of spiritual leader who's kind of, using potions and stuff to kind of, what's the word, hypnotize people into kind of working with her and helping the Mongols and stuff. And so you're trying to defeat her. And what ends up happening is that you see her at the beginning of the game. She presents herself, something happens, and then you don't see her for pretty much the rest of the game until you finish it. So she doesn't appear until the end of the campaign when you're fighting her. But what ends up happening is throughout the game you're playing, and then she sort of comes into your mind or puts doubt in your mind. And so throughout the game, every now and then the screen sort of flickers and then you get sort of a message from her. And I get what they're trying to do, but it doesn't really impact anything. It doesn't make any drastic changes to the gameplay or the story. It's just kind of an annoying person, almost like a Navi from Legend of Zelda, where it's just kind of someone constantly interrupting while you're trying to play the game. And so I felt it was more of a distraction or an annoyance than it was actually something that helped with the narrative story. And so I kind of wish that the game was a little bit longer because it doesn't flesh out any characters. There's some neat story beats that they could have, explored and dived deeper into, and they didn't, and that's just because there wasn't enough time in the story to kind of flesh out those characters. So the story didn't really capture me. It was more just the experience of just having more Ghost of Tsushima to play that really carried me forward. And I think this boils down to the decision of them not putting this at the end of the game as a continuation of Jin's story. And so where are they going with it? I don't really know, but I think that putting it halfway through the game, the original game, it was kind of a poor choice in the way it impacted both players who've played and probably beaten Ghost of Tsushima, as well as those who are coming in, because it is a little bit of a tougher section. And I don't think if you came in, having just beat the first act, that you'd be able to kind of breeze through it. So it almost feels like it is meant to be a late game option, but it's not presented like that. And so I feel like they should have just committed to making this a post-game activity. So overall, how I would rate this, I'd say this is a 7.5, maybe an 8, depending on how you're feeling about Ghost of Tsushima. I really liked it. I enjoyed it, but I definitely don't feel like I'm compelled to say go out and get it today and play it. If you want to play more Ghost of Tsushima, it's definitely there and ready to go. You're not going to be disappointed, but I do feel like, you can wait for the director's cut or the upgrade to go on sale. I just feel the upgrade plus paying the $10 that came out to something I think like $40-$50 for me here in Canada. And I don't know if it was quite worth it. I certainly enjoyed it, but I do feel like the price tag with the upgrade was a little bit much. So, Adam, any questions? I know you weren't the huge Ghost of Tsushima fan. I don't think this is going to win you over.
No, not unless you're gonna have some, crazy anime bullshit in there. But I don't think Ghost of Tsushima is that game, so I don't think it's gonna turn
not that game.
It's not gonna turn the tide on me that much.
No, so yeah, check it out if you guys are interested. It's certainly definitely something that you should check out at some point. But I would sort of say that price is based, the price you pay is based on how eager you are for more Ghost of Tsushima versus how much your money's worth it to you. So it's that balance. When it gets to that sweet spot for you, go ahead and pull the trigger. But that's where I'm sitting there for my Untimely review of Ghost of Ikishima. And I think that about covers it for this week, Adam. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for joining us. If this was your first time watching us, you chose an interesting episode to join us. We've had nothing but technical difficulties. I think this has been probably our most difficult episode for us to record. And hopefully next week it'll be better. If you're one of our long times, thanks for sticking with us. We really appreciate it for you. We ask one favor of you. If you are listening to this still, share it with your friends, share it with your family, let them know that we are here. We'd love to see this group grow. It's a good group that we have, and we could only benefit from having more people. If you want to be part of the show, you can always email us at pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. Send us your questions, your comments, your concerns. We're happy to read them on the air. You can interact with us on Twitter or Instagram by searching for us at pixelplaycast. And you can always find us wherever you get your podcast, whether that is the audio version, just search Pixel Play Podcast, or on YouTube by searching Pixel Play Podcast. Don't forget, next week we are going to be having the people from Between Two Gamers joining us, so look forward to having them. And otherwise, we will see you guys next week. Bye for now.